Hi, everyone. It's Rich Bensaka with Pro Builder Media. We've been hearing a lot lately about builders offering curated collections of design options for their home buyers. So I wanted to bring in an expert to provide some insight into the value of that approach and some tips for doing it right. So I'm happy to welcome today Jane Meagher, who's the president of Success Strategies and the founder of the National Design Studio Institute. Welcome, Jane, and thanks for making time with us today.
Thank you, Rich. I am delighted to be here, and thank you for making the time.
Sure, you bet. So I think the first place to start is to talk about what a curated collection is. How do you define it as a strategist for builders as they consider, the design studio and how they, how that approach might help them and the experience of a home buyer?
Sure. Well, what I would say is that a curated collection is really just a type of package. So when we talk about curated collections, we really have to understand how as builders we offer packages of products together rather than just something that is, rather than just offering a la carte options. So I would say curated collections are kind of at the far end of the spectrum of packages. And typically in our industry these days, when we refer to a curated collection, it is usually a multi-category grouping of products that, when put together, execute a certain design style in the buyer's home. And packages in general, can be pretty tricky. I would say curated collections, carry a lot of opportunity for success, but also many challenges as well.
So taking off of that, the reason a builder would choose to go to a package or even to the extent of a curated collection, what's the benefit to the builder to do that?
First we have to understand, why do people even want to buy this way? And so when we look at what's happened with curated collections in other industries, these are things like Stitch Fix and other types of services that basically say, hey, tell us a little about you. And we, the experts, will put together a package of products that will hit your needs and lead you to a better result with an easier, quicker decision-making process. So first of all, the ideology is that, that is a way that consumers across all industries today really are looking to consume products. So then the question is, hey, this is going on out there in the world. Is this something that builders should do? And certainly there have been builders that have done a very successful job of it. So the builder has to look at, is the concept of curated collections aligned with my overall business strategy and my design studio strategy? Hopefully there is a design studio strategy. And that should really be based on the builder's overall goals. So what are they looking to do this year, 3 years, 5 years, and out? What is the builder's competitive market position? How do they position themselves against their competition? Does this align with that positioning? As I said before, the design studio strategy and goals, is this something that is connected to what other goals we have in the studio? And what are our internal strengths and our internal weaknesses or challenges? Some builders can execute on this, others might not be able to. And the answer to, should each builder do curated collections or different types of packages, is going to vary based on those factors and also based on the product they offer, right? If you're selling 50 custom homes a year versus many hundreds of semi-custom or production homes, it's going to yield a different answer. If they're entry-level homes or very high-end homes, it's going to yield a different answer. So I think builders should look at curated collections and all kinds of other packages. Whether or not it's right for them is way beyond just a design studio decision.
Do you find that builders are coming to you, or that you're hearing from builders saying, my consumers are looking for this. I don't necessarily have a strategy for this, or I don't really know where to start. What's been the feedback that you've heard from the builder side in terms of consumer demand?
We get questions like, we hear a lot about these curated collections, and we want buyers to think that we are aligned with that ideology and that we can serve them that way. Can we just put together a couple different design collections, traditional and coastal or whatever? And, is there anything we should think about? And really, that is just the tip of the iceberg. Regardless of what the actual style is or the multiple styles are in your marketplace, believe me, choosing the styles and the products that create that style is absolutely the easiest part of it. The whole strategy of how you put the packages or the curated collections together is really the more complicated and much more important part.
What is the hard work of putting the strategy together? What is, kind of go deep into that a little bit for me.
Sure. The hard work is really understanding how you're going to serve your customers and your own business goals. So I think the first thing is, do you have clarity on your business goals, right? Are we doing this to increase revenue? Are we doing it to decrease decision time and cycle time? Are we doing it, like you said, to decrease the number of SKUs that we're carrying? Are we looking to create a better customer experience? What's the purpose of this? Because understanding the purpose and the goal is going to lead to very different decisions when you create those packages. So two builders could have two different strategies. They should end up with different packages. In the end, you can hit the design styles and the buyer can be like, oh my gosh, I love this, urban loft package, or oh my gosh, I love this, glitz and glam package, or whatever it is. But if they're not going to move forward and buy it, it doesn't matter how much they think it looks pretty, right? It's beyond the pretty, like everything in a design studio. It's smart that matters. And so we have to make sure we're not going to frustrate our customers, that they're not going to want to start picking apart the packages or the curated collections. We have to make sure that we're hitting a proper investment amount. We have to make sure that we're presenting it the right way. And any of these things you could go much deeper into, but there's a lot of work that has to be done, I think, so that we see the results that we should see, because, we want to have a good result for the effort, probably multi-department effort that will go into it.
That's great. And you brought up something that I think is really important that maybe builders don't think about, which is, what if a buyer comes in and says, I don't want the package. I don't want you to curate my choices. I want to go off script a little bit. How do you advise builders to manage that?
First of all, is the policy that these are mandatory, these are recommended, these are just suggestions. And then we have to have our process and our rules set up, to support that policy, so that the customer doesn't then say, oh, I want to go off script. Like you said, we would say off menu, if they're not allowed to. So we would want the customer, as with anything in design studios, to have clear expectations ahead of time regarding how personalization works in our company, so that we get ahead of these types of objections and don't have to have a buyer that is maybe misaligned with our brand promise and how that promise is executed through the studio and the collections.
Right. And that starts obviously from probably the first time that they touch the builder, whether that's an online search or some sort of, a conversation with a salesperson or a lead person, and all the way through, so that expectation is not only set early, but it's set often, so that when you get to that point, it's like, okay, this is what I'm getting from this builder. And here are my options, if you will, or, here's how they deal with the design studio aspect or the design selection aspect of my experience. So,
and that's really why it is an overall business decision, because it's going to significantly affect the way sales sells homes. As a person with the real estate license, I sold homes for builders many years ago, but I can understand and respect the job of a new home consultant. These decisions to go to these curated collections are going to affect sales. They're going to affect construction. They're going to affect estimating and purchasing and design and all these different departments. So if the builder starts with a clear strategy and all the action steps in creating and presenting the package are done properly, and the whole company is on board, the sales team for sure has to believe in the benefit of selling homes as curated collections. Then it can be successful, but there's a lot of pitfalls if all of that is not aligned.
Is there anything else that we haven't touched on that you think is really important for builders to know about curated collections and packages?
What I would say to builders is, it doesn't stop when you create the collection. It almost starts when you create the collection. We have to present it. We have to think about putting these into our model homes and our design studio vignettes. We have to have backup plans in case something gets discontinued, especially today with supply chain challenges. So, and certainly we have to analyze the results, right? I mean, we can't just put it out there, especially with complicated entire house curated collections. We can't just put it out there and hope that it works. We have to go back and look at the results and what our customers are telling us, and being able to tweak that and to continue to evolve it until we get it right.
Jane, last thing, I know you've got a program that you have at Success Strategies. I think builders would be interested in. How do builders connect with you, whether it's for that or just simply to kind of tap into your expertise?
Sure. Well, first of all, our website is optforsuccess.net. That's OPT, the number 4, success.net. And that will give you a whole bunch of information on our programs, which range from studio creation to best practices to training, all kinds of corporate strategy and more, all focused on design studios. But timing is great right now, Rich, because we are about to have our annual enrollment program for DC Pro, which is our design consultant professional online training and certification program, where professional design consultants can get the skills they need to be successful. And it is a 1-year access to a state-of-the-art program, tying up everything that we've learned through decades and through working with hundreds of builders. And it's been amazing to see the success and the results that the hundreds of consultants we have in the program right now are having for themselves, in their confidence and their ability to handle tough situations, for the better customer experience they're delivering, and certainly for option sales as well.